What's up, Tik Tok? This is a Miyota 2025 movement. I really want to make a watch brand called BRHOA, B-R-H-O-A. So here's the 3D model of my first prototype. There will be no prongs on the case. So I started printing my first prototype, and then I had to take a break while it's printing and eat some lunch. And once it was finished, I had to test it. So I got it off the printer, and then I had a nylon watch band, and I tried shoving it through, but the opening was too small, so I have to make a new prototype. So I went back to my computer, and I freed up some space around where the band goes, and there is the second prototype. So I printed that, and here's my second prototype printed out. As you can see, the band fits through the bar. It's a little tight, but it still works. So in my next prototype, I'm just going to adjust the opening so that it's a little bit wider. You can see it there. It's a tiny bit of a wider gap. And I also filled in the part where the face goes just so it looks a little nicer when I put the band through, and then put that on my wrist just to see how it looks. And I think it looks great. In my next prototype, I need to make a hole for the stem of the movement to go through. So I changed it up a little bit in my 3D model. Download that baby as an STL on the computer and print it out. And here's the result. Looks pretty good. Time to test it out. The stem of the movement fits through the hole, so that's good. The only thing is that the movement doesn't really fit in the case, so that's what I gotta fix. So I had to get on my computer and try to make a little more space in there. I managed to get 19 millimeters of space, and then I gotta print that thing out. And yes, it slides through. The movement fits in the case. That's good. That's exactly what we want. But I started to think that this spot right here is too thin. I want to make it a little more sturdy so that it doesn't break. But I still have to make sure the band will fit through that opening easily. So I went to my computer and made it a little bit thicker, so hopefully that'll help it out. There's also no space between the hole and the wall so that the band will go through nicely. So I printed that out, and look at what we got here. It printed nicely. I want to slide the band through it to make sure there's enough room. And here it is going through, and it fits nicely. A1 right there. And I wanted to move on, but I just had to add a little bit more room. And I also made it a little stronger too. So now we got 19.5 millimeters of space. Printing it out and testing the fit. It looks a lot better. We have plenty of room this time, and it's also very sturdy on the edges there. Putting the band through the bars again just to test to make sure it fits. And it does. Still looks very good. And all I need now is to make the back. Hopefully I can get it to fit on the first try. Here's my 3D model I made. It's very simple, not too difficult. Getting ready to print. Got my handy dandy printer right here. And not exactly what we wanted to see. It didn't print very good because of how thin I had to make some of it, because I needed the movement to fit inside of it. However, it did fit into the back of the case, so that's good. And here you can see that the movement really doesn't fit inside of it, so that's not gonna work. I'm gonna have to adjust something about my watch so that the movement can fit. I made the back for the case, and it fit, but there's not enough room for the movement. I simply can't make parts of it thin enough to fit the movement and also fit inside the case. So I had to make the decision to up the diameter of my watch by 2 millimeters. I started off with a 36 millimeter diameter, and now I'm changing it to 38 millimeter. I wanted to keep it really small, but 38 is still good. So here's the exact same piece, just 2 millimeters bigger, just as good as all the other prototypes I've made. And here it is with the band. There's going to be a lot more room to work with here, so this may actually help me. Now I just have to make a new back for this case. Since we made the diameter of our watch 2 millimeters bigger, we can get rid of the last backing and we can make a new one. We can print this baby out, and hopefully it will fit very nicely. I think it will. It can also be pretty fun to get the prints off of the surface. And there we go. And now I'm gonna put the back onto the case, and it snaps perfectly. It's a great fit. There's plenty of room for the movement to fit inside, and this is a little taste of what it's gonna look like. I'll probably adjust it at the corners there just so it looks a little bit better. So far, I've pretty much finished the whole case and the back. Now all I have to do is make the back look a little bit better so that it fits nicer with the case. So I'm just going to make a little adjustment and get a new piece, put that on the case, and it looks really good now. The next thing I did was split my case up into 2 pieces so that I could print it. I did this so I would be able to test how my dial fits on my case. So then all I had to do was print it out, then I could have some fun getting it off the surface. You can see right here how the 2 pieces fit together. Looks pretty simple. So now it's time just to glue them together. I used some pretty strong glue to do that. Then it was time for an amazing egg sandwich while it was drying. And here is the finished product. It looks much better, way cleaner. Now I'll be able to print a test dial so that I can put that on the case and see how it works. Now it's time to figure out how to incorporate the dial into the case. So I printed out a very simple disc right here. All I need to do is test it out and see how it fits in my case. This is what it looks like. Of course I had to draw on it to make it look cooler. And then I tried putting it in the case just to see how it worked. And it fit in the case, which is good, and the movement also fit in the back. But it's still not going to work because there's nothing keeping the dial from being pushed out through the back. So I'm going to have to change something about my design to keep the dial from coming out. It's need to work on the dial. And since it doesn't stay in the case, I need to redesign my case. So all I did was add a little bit of a notch to the bottom half of my case. The dial should be able to fit securely in here. So I printed all that out, and here's my new piece with the notch cut out. Looking good. And here is the top half of the case. It's pretty much the same. And then here's the dial. Now I just have to put it together. So the dial gets sandwiched between the 2 pieces of the case, and they're glued together. And this is what it'll look like with the dial securely in place. It's in there pretty good. I also printed a dial out in white so it looks even cooler now. And then I made sure my movement fit in there, and it does. It's a very snug fit. And now my watch is looking pretty cool. Still have a lot more designing to do. Next, I need to design the movement holder. Right now, I need to design something that will keep this movement in place. This is how it fits in the case right now. So I went to my computer and I made a bunch of different models. I kept fixing them and adjusting them and kept printing them out until I got everything right. So now it was time to print this one out and see how it works. So this is it. Looks very good. We're going to see how good it works. And look at that. It fits perfectly. Holds the movement right in there. It's not going anywhere. Now I can just put the backing on, put the band in, and I was also able to put one of the watch hands on just to see how it worked. And it looks like it works. I still have to figure out how to put the hour hand on. But like and follow to see me make the rest of this watch.